Today I want to talk about the medical industry. And this topic feeds right into the psychology of authoritarianism and the way that we've all been programmed to just basically accept the way we're treated or being treated by this industry. Keep in mind that most doctors have a bigger house than you do. Keep that in mind. They make more money than you do. All right? Their children go to better schools than your children go to. Right? All right. All of these hospitals, doctors' offices, insurance companies, healthcare, all interrelated, all working together to do what? To screw you over, and me, and everyone else. To accept ACCEPT, not EXCEPT, ACCEPT. By the way, I'm speaking in adverb, verb, adjective, pronoun, fiction, babble. For all of you junior geniuses out there who say, well, you're not using correct sentence structure. All right, you can head back to junior high and berate your cronies about it. Anyways, back to what I was saying. They, the doctors, the insurance agents, healthcare, whatever you want to call them, providers, are all in it to screw you and I over. And we just accept it. Why? Because it's all we have. Is that true though? But anyways, we've been conditioned to believe that. We've been conditioned to participate with that concept, that it's all we have, so we need it. You need health care. Whoa. What if? Whoa, you need car insurance. Oh, what if? Oh. Well, if you don't have car insurance, you can have your driving license taken away. So what happens when you get your driver license taken away? Oh, I guess suddenly you don't know how to drive anymore. See, all this stuff is just bullshit, in my view. Where there are other views who have a more authoritarian way of dealing with things, a more conventional, mainstream way of dealing with things, that have a different view about it. But this is my view. And this is my video, so therefore I'm sharing it with you. Back to the medical industry. Let's go through an average doctor visit, okay? Say you schedule a doctor's visit. What do they tell you? First thing is, do you have insurance? Ooh, okay. Make sure, get that out of the way. Make sure they're going to get paid before they let you in there. And yes, I did change my accent there a little bit. On purpose. So once that's out of the way, then they will say, please arrive, 30 minutes early, because you have some paperwork to fill out. Okay. So you got an appointment at 10 o'clock. They want you there at 9:30 in the morning. Fill some paperwork out. Okay, good. You ask them, how long is this going to take? Well, since it's just a checkup or whatever, it's probably just going to take about 20 minutes. Okay, cool. Awesome. Great. So I get there at 9:30. The appointment's at 10. I'll be out of there by 20 after 10, right? Wrong. You get there at 9:30, 9:35, whatever. And you fill out the paperwork. That takes about 10 minutes. Okay. Then you sit there and wait. It's 10 o'clock. Nothing. It's 10 after 10. Nothing. 20 after 10. Jason, come on back. Then you get called back. 20 minutes late. And then the appointment takes, well, and then you go back to the room where you're going to get the appointment in, and the nurse takes some vitals and whatnot, and then you wait another 10 or 15 minutes, and then the doctor comes in. Folks, try to arrive at your appointment with no notice, with no calling them and say, I'm going to be late. You try and arrive at a doctor's appointment 20 minutes late. See what happens. You can't do it. But yet, you supposedly are paying them to do what they're doing. So essentially, you are paying the doctor to be late. It doesn't matter. It doesn't fucking matter to them that they're keeping you waiting, because they're getting paid the whole time. They're getting paid to wait. They're getting paid to make you late for your next appointment or your next scheduled event or whatever it is. They are getting paid and you are paying them. That's all there is to it. So do you see the discrepancy here? I think, and this, this goes along with Rule 1, Rule Equal, I am making a suggestion, a solution to what I see as an issue. The issue is that doctors and such have become far too entitled with their position. They don't give a shit if they're inconveniencing you, but they sure do give a shit if you're inconveniencing them when the shoe's on the other foot. You'll find that with just about anyone you're in a relationship with in life. What's good for the goose ain't good for the gander. No matter what they say about you, they will not turn the mirror on themselves and look at themselves. They just won't do it. Because, I don't know, cognitive bias, protagonist-centered morality, meaning that they are the protagonist and they can do no wrong, I guess. Or your wrong is so egregious that it supersedes any wrong that they could have possibly or not possibly done. This is the way doctors appear to think, by my perception. So a solution to this issue would be, when you talk to the secretary on the phone or you're scheduling the appointment, you say, okay, you told me my appointment's at 10. So I'm going to be out of there by 20 after, right? Or how long is this appointment going to last? And then they give you a time frame. And then you hold them to that time frame. You say, okay, you said 20 minutes, we'll say 30 minutes, just max, just to be sure. Okay, because if, and you let them know this, if the doctor does not wrap this up by the time that you just gave me, I'm leaving and I'm not paying for the appointment, and you agree that that's okay because I have performed on my end, I'm on time, I've waited 10 extra minutes, and you, on the other hand, have not performed on your end of the contract. So therefore the contract is null and void, and I don't owe you shit. Because the service rendered was not the service promised. That's a solution. How many doctors do you think would go for that? Because I'm of a mind to implement that. I really am, just to try it once. And they're going to have these authoritarian followers say, why you want to make their life more difficult? Bro, F their lives. Make their lives difficult. What are they there to do? Make money. What are they trained to do? Make people sick. And before you say no, actually they're there to help people. Well, maybe in their mind, somewhere in the depths of their neurological pathways, maybe they actually think they are helping people. But folks, here's the thing. You come into a doctor's office and say you have hypertension, high blood pressure, heart problems, possible cancer, something like that. What is one thing, one concept you are not going to hear come out of a doctor's mouth? You are not going to hear them talk to you about diet or exercise. They might tell you about exercise, but they're certainly not going to give you any type of dietary counsel. No. They're going to want to put you on a course of medications, a course of poisons. Am I wrong? Am I missing something here? Am I totally off base? Is that not what they do? Like, for example, back in 2014, before I knew anything about correct sentence structure, communication, parse, syntax, grammar, I was feeling a little funny. And so I went to one of those little blood pressure sit-down machines at Walmart, and I took my blood pressure and I started doing that, and I found out that my blood pressure was very, very high. At the time, I was working a very what we would call high-stress job, where I was a manager, and I was working upwards of minimum 60 hours a week to sometimes 80 hours a week. Okay? Sun up to sundown. And getting very little sleep. So I go to a doctor and I explain all these things to him, and he says, yes, you have hypertension. And he started talking about medication. That was the first thing that he said was medication. And I said, I don't want to do medication. Not into that. So he offered me other solutions. He said, okay, well, dietary-wise, cut down on salt, sugars, don't drink the alcohol, and get more sleep. And I said, okay. And I did that. Oh. And he also prescribed working less hours. And I said, well, there's really no way to do that unless you write the prescription and I give it to my bosses. Which is what he did. And once that company got that mandate from the doctor, then my hours were cut to 40 hours per week, no more than 8 hours per day. Well, regular job. My blood pressure went right down. No medication needed. But the first thing out of his mouth was he wanted to put me on medication. That was the first move on his part. And that's standard procedure. That's standard medical procedure. They say practicing medicine. What is medicine? Medicine is not care of your health. Medicine are meds. That's what they're trained to do, to give you meds. All right? Meds don't solve anything. Anyhow, it's the same thing nowadays. It's the same thing then, same thing now, and same thing since I can't remember when. Same thing with cancer. You will never hear a doctor. What's the first thing? Okay, say if you're diagnosed with some sort of, let's say breast cancer of some sort, the first appointment you make with a doctor is with a surgeon, with a butcher. And then they do a radiologist. And then they do, with this other person, I can't remember their name, but they prescribe you hormones and shit. Or chemo. And things like that. It's like, bro, are you kidding me right now? Don't even talk about diet. Don't even talk about other options. And if you bring that up to them, if you bring up any type of alternative treatments other than standard medical procedure, they will lose their shit. They will try to scare you. They will condescend you. I mean, it's really crazy the way they react. And And I know this from first-hand knowledge. I've seen it. I've been in the room. I've witnessed it multiple times. I've spoken with doctors multiple times. Same thing. Matter of fact, I asked one radiologist directly, what impact does diet have on cancer or getting cancer? And instead of answering me directly, he gave me an anecdote about some study that was done with regards to birth control pills and seizures, which had nothing, literally nothing to do with what we were talking about. And this is the same guy that said, oh, there are little to no harmful side effects of radiation. Only 1 in 100 patients get any kind of detrimental side effects in the hundreds of cases that he's done. And that, as Maury Povich would say, is a lie. So they lie directly to you. All right? Now, what is the point of this rant? Well, that is the point. I don't think any part of the medical industry is here to help any of you except to your money, your pocketbook, and to fleece you in any way, shape, or form that they possibly can. There are other ways to deal with the ailments that I have mentioned. And that's not the only thing. The other thing is, if you look back at the healers throughout history, you look at the Hippocratic Oath, okay? Do doctors still take the Hippocratic Oath? I have no idea if they do or they don't. But I can say that the Hippocratic Oath does have a section in there that says a doctor will not knowingly harm his patient, I think. So if you take an oath not to harm people, then why are you dealing out these drugs that harm people? Why are you giving poison to people? Really? And you have people so brainwashed into trusting, I would call them trustees of modern chemistry. And it's all part of the authoritarian construct, where money is God. Money runs everything. If you don't have a means to make money, then what good are you? Your worth as a human being is determined by money. Bottom line. You will find this in 9 out of 10 human beings that you meet. Money determines your value to them. And you can go right through a list of people, public figures, you can go through a list of their relationships, you can go through a list of your own relationships and the own people directly involved in your life. You will see that money, 9 times out of 10, determines your value or the way they value other people. Bottom line, comes down to it every single time. What happens in family businesses? They fall apart because of money. In the public, you see people falling out, getting mad at each other. What's it have to do? Money, 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 money. And that's what it comes down to the medical industry. When you go in and you're waiting an extra 45 minutes for your doctor's appointment to begin, you're paying the doctor to keep you waiting. Who knows? Maybe like in Grey's Anatomy, maybe the doctor is, banging the nurse in the broom closet. You're paying for that. And by the way, when I say doctor, that can be male or female. And nurse can be male or female too. I'm not being gender specific here. All right, this was a fun one. Hope you enjoyed it. Que sera, sera.